All right, here goes. Dear parishioners, in his homily this afternoon, Father Ben explained that the priests are missing you as much as you miss you, that the priests need you. And that means that we want things back the way they were just as much as you do. Not that I don't think that they're ever going to be back to the way they were, but it has to get better than this. I told you I'd be back once there was some news to report, and here I am. By this point, we have all heard the news that religious institutions can be opened, but that there are restrictions. Restrictions that include only 10 people at a time, and restrictions that there be no communion. Many of you know that we were averaging in this church approximately 2,000 people a weekend. 10 people per Mass is a little ridiculous for us, for our sake. I think it was a red herring, so it would say something is happening, but it's a little ridiculous in our case. We are permitted now to do it if we follow certain unrealistic restrictions. You know, I used to say at work so often, I would say, you know, just because I can do something doesn't mean I should do something. We, as a parish, if we were to begin with Masses with 9 invitees, because the priest is counted, I think that we would be inviting dissension, inviting disruption. You know, the first thing I think about, I was reminded of James and John asking Jesus for the seats at his right and his left, and what happened? The other 10 got indignant. That can't happen here. It can't. At this moment, we are under duress because of a disease, a real threat, a real threat. You know, today's New York Times, with 100,000 names for people who have died due to this. But this division is being caused by a disease. If we were to start selecting people for Masses, then we might start a division caused by us, a division within a division, and that can't happen here. So many different voices that we're hearing, everybody looking to get out in front, the governor, the president, some medical people. We still and always follow the voice of Jesus. Tend my lambs, feed my sheep, watch out for each other. That doesn't mean you take somebody someplace that may be safe and say, fend for yourselves, you watch out for yourself. No, we tend to each other, and especially to the most vulnerable. So much for what we don't do. Now, for what we can do. This week, I'm expecting to have a deep clean of the church. Step 1, we're going to be in contact with some of the wedding couples. There were wedding couples that were willing to ascribe to the restrictions so that they could keep a date that may have been important to them. So for those, we will be in touch with those that can do this in a fashion that will have only 10 people or less. We will begin calling some of the baptism couples with their babies and their families, again, for those who are willing to be here with 10 or fewer people. We will begin holding wakes and funerals, going to the funeral homes for wakes and doing funerals here for the immediate families. And how painful it is for some to say it has to be 10 or fewer. I'm hoping that at some point, once we figure out the logistics of it, I am hoping to open the church for private prayer. You know, it's still going to be limited to 10 at a time. There will still be masks. There will be no touching of statues. And right now, I'm just trying to figure a method, whether or not everybody leaves, you know, a blank, we leave paper on the seat that we were just in, or some way, paper that will be picked up so we know that is extra cleaned, that somebody else who comes in behind you knows somebody was right here, but some marking, not only that how close we're supposed to be to each other, but this is where somebody just was. We're looking right now into some of the FM transmitters that if we hook them in that we could, if we were to have Mass in the parking lots with people in their cars, another technology learning curve. But we are continuing with the Facebook Mass. And for those who saw it today, we're getting a lot better with the unanticipated gaps that we covered for it, and we had to continue. So for those things that that will be beginning, and for those that we are hoping to be beginning, and of course, one of the things that we, each of us, all of us, we continue to pray, because that's who we are. You know, I said at the very beginning of this, that even though this is happening to us, this is an outside force beyond our control, our response is not. So often, in the busyness of our lives, it makes it difficult to communicate with God and to say, what am I really about? What am I doing here? I wind up, so often, I know that parents can feel like chauffeurs, they can feel like tutors, they can feel 1,000 other things. It's difficult to communicate because I'm worried about the car, or I'm worried about the mortgage, I'm worried about the soccer, or the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and I never said that those were unimportant. They are important. But what else is important is our relationship with God. That's why we were made. I get to know who I am because of my relationship with Him. And now really is that time. And doing it together is a wonderful thing in a family. You know, Vatican II called families a domestic church, and I pray that you be that. You know how to do the rosary, do it together. Teach the kids. If you have a child in religious ed, you know, you have a book. Go through it together. You know, you can talk to the first grade parents. They'll tell you that explaining these concepts, these complicated concepts in some cases, in simple terms, often deepens our own faith. We have an opportunity. We can't do what we want, so we do what we can, both in church and at home. The moment we can take the next step, we will. You will see me again. I told you I would come back out when there was news, and there was news, and here I am. Because in the end, after all, we are all in it together. God bless St. Raphael's. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.